I still remember my first international trip, and this was to the Swiss Alps. The reason that I chose the Swiss Alps as our first destination was because growing up, and anybody who is in my generation, we grew up on the sound of music, watching the Von Trapp family dance, magically singing, and the backdrop was the Swiss Alps and the meadows. It just looked like a place I needed to go. Given our experience of hiking within East Africa, I decided that for us to go to those places, it would be during favorable weather conditions. So we're not trying to go there when it's extremely cold. We're going to go there when it was nice and comfortable weather, meaning summer. So allow me to take you on this journey of what that actually looked like for the first time hiking internationally. So we landed in Geneva and we took our train to the Bernese canton, which is on the farther side of Switzerland. And even as we were on the train heading there and I was looking outside the windows, my goodness, I couldn't believe that this dream had come to be a reality. I tried to capture what it is that I was seeing, but my goodness, the astounding beauty of the magical Swiss Alps, you truly need to just go. You truly, truly need to go. One of the other magical things about hiking in the Swiss Alps for our very first time was that we didn't have porters with us, we didn't have guides with us, and we didn't need to sleep in tents. Meaning that I had the hiking trail and would move from cabin to cabin. And what that meant was that we needed to just put what we needed on our backpacks and carry them. There was nobody who was going to support us. It was a self-supported trip. Looking back, I can only laugh because we had overloaded ourselves because we didn't know what to expect. We had those big porter's bags. That's what we were carrying on our backs. Only to our fantastic and magical surprise to discover that all we needed for those trails was simply a pair of shorts, our hiking boots, and maybe 3 t-shirts, and that was it. Because everything we needed for the hike would find in the cabins. There were hosts to welcome us, there was warm meals, so it was just something very different. Hiking from one cabin to the next during summer, what can I say about it? It's long days. So many you could walk for even 12 hours, even 13 hours, and yet not experience the pressure of the sun coming down. And that is actually what we experienced on one of the days. Over and above that, the trails are so beautifully marked that, and I kept telling my crew, in the event you get lost, you're running away from us. It is so clearly marked that it was easy for us to follow without any assistance of a guide. Let me break down a little bit further what this beauty of the Swiss Alps actually looks like. You know, when you hear about, and this phrase comes from The Sound of Music. So if you don't have context, please, you're going to go and have to watch Sound of Music, where they say, the hills are alive with the sound of music. So we actually got to experience what that is. And it was the magical chiming of the cowbells. As we're walking along the trails, that is the music that we had every single day. And we knew this is what those guys were talking about when they said the hills come alive. The chimes are simply magical. You have to experience it. I can't even both tell you about it. Over and above that, the trails seem to be perfectly manicured. Along the way, you'd find that people are living along these trails, right? So they would put little miniature gnomes, pictures of plants. It almost felt unreal. And I tried to capture it. And I keep telling my clients that some of these things that we experience are a gift for those who dare to come on this journey. Again, because of our experience, we chose the hardest and longest 2 trails on that side of the Alps. And people that we met along the trail, of course, number one, we stood out simply because of the color of our skin. And they imagined that we were from America. But once you said Africa, you could just see people like thrown back. You are a group of 10 people from Africa hiking, and you've chosen the longest trails. Wow. And at some point, we even asked ourselves, what exactly have we gotten ourselves into? If these people are getting very astounded by the trails that we've picked. Another interesting thing that we got to discover was that while we were walking with the potter's bags, a good maybe 15 kilos, 12 kilos on our backs, people had these small tiny bags which had maybe 5 kilos at most. And this was because you're able to fill your water bottles along the way. You're able to get places along the way to have a hot meal. So we stood out along the trail. One, because we were the only black group that was hiking, and there were 8 of us, which is a huge number of people. Most of the people who were hiking this trail were either in groups of 2 or maybe a single hiker. At most, we were seeing 4 people, and then they were all Caucasian. So that was the first thing that made us stand out. The second thing, which was very hilarious, was the backpacks that we had. We had those humongous potter's bags on our backs. 15 kilos, 12 to 15 kilos is what we were carrying. And the people who were on the trail had maximum 5 kilos. So we were there, these people who they asked where we were from, and we said we were from Africa. And of course, they got shocked. They're like, "You're not from America?" We're like, no, we're from Africa. So we're from Africa, we're from Kenya. And of course, they resonate with Kenyans because they run. But here we were, a group of 8 people with 15 kilos on our backs, and we had chosen the hardest trails to hike. So anytime we said the trails that we'd be on, they would pause, and we could see like they were a bit shocked. Then they'd say, okay, all the best, enjoy. Only then did we really get to understand what we had signed up for. These 2 longest passes meant that we were on the trail beginning 8 in the morning and were ending up at about 6 in the evening. The reason why we had carried such heavy bags, beyond the fact that we wanted to change our clothes every day, which is not necessary on this particular trail, was also because we thought we had to carry our food as well. But we didn't need to have this stuff. As you're hiking along the trail, there are different cabins where people live, so you're able to get a hot meal in the event you wanted to get something. Over and above that, there are watering points. So all you needed on your backpack was, at maximum, 1.5 liters. So we're overloaded, and then we're doing the toughest trails on the Swiss Alps. At the end of day 1, now allow me to give you a few lessons and challenges of moving along with this story. So at the end of day 1, what I found was that people were done with the hike. They had said, we're okay. Wandia, we have gotten what we came to experience. This other day that you've planned for hiking, we don't want to go for it. What I can say, there was mutiny in the ranks. So I'm sitting back and I'm listening to the people. They're like, yeah. And I remember this one gentleman who said, "Hey, Wandia, I have gotten value for money." VFM, not VFM. He told me, "Wandia, I've gotten my value for money. If we abort the trip at this point, I'm happy." So I listened, and I could see that he was really trying to pull people onto his side. Eventually, I said, "Okay, so how many people want to continue hiking tomorrow and how many people don't want to?" I found that I was only going to be me and 2 other ladies. But I said, no. This is unacceptable. This is our first international trip. And I picked out 2 of my other strong hikers. And I told them, the 2 of you ladies, no, we are going to complete what we started. For the rest, that's fine. What you'll need to do is just take the train to the next station and we'll meet. And that's what we agreed. I must confess that I was a little bit happy that a few people had decided to pull out, because that meant we could shed off a few extra kilos and allow them to carry them for us. And we continue with the trail without 15 kilos on our backs. The next day was even tougher than the previous day. Maybe it's because we're already a bit tired, but the day was extremely long. And I'm forever grateful that I chose for us to go there in the summer, because from point A, where we began at about 8 in the morning, we got to the other town at about 8 p.m. Actually, it was 9 p.m. But because it was summer, the sun was still out, and we had really no idea how late it was. It was actually 9 p.m. But because of the luxuries along the trail, and of course, again, the beauty of the Alps, we took each step with a lot of satisfaction and enjoyment. I can only look back at the mountain lakes that we're able to see. We tried to capture them, but you have to be there to see it. And I'm forever grateful that this was the first trail that I chose to be our international hike. The Swiss Alps gave, and it gave, and it gave. And because of that, I've decided that this year we're going back to the Swiss Alps. And I'd love for you to come on this journey with us. We'll be heading to the Swiss Alps in August this year. And I'd love for you to sign up and come and experience this for yourself. But in the meantime, make sure you watch The Sound of Music so that you can really resonate with what it is that we went to experience. So sign up below, call the number for more information, and I'll be happy to clue you in. Every mountain has got its lessons and its challenges. And as I've described, managing people is one of the challenges that I come across from time to time. But the beauty about people is that people are resilient, and people are able to achieve what it is that they want to achieve when given the right environment. Mountaineering has taught me that sometimes it's okay to just go with the flow. You have your script, but sometimes you don't have to stick to the script to be able to achieve your goals. Being on the Swiss Alps for the very first time taught me that it was okay for those who didn't want to complete the entire trip to actually choose their path, and they were okay with it. It also taught me that sometimes some people need a gentle nudge to be able to achieve what it is that they desire. Case in point, the two ladies who took up the challenge and continued. Another thing that I learned on this particular trip is that help is always available for those who ask. If we had chosen not to ask for assistance in our stuff being carried, would have had to lug this luggage across the entire next day. One other important thing that I learned on this particular trip, and I'll go back a little bit, is that as we were descending on the first day, actually not even descending on the first day, as we were trekking on the first day, one of the ladies' shoes came undone. The sole came off. So she was just there struggling, and she wasn't making any noise about it. But eventually I noticed, and I went to her, and we tried to do what we could. But because the trail was long, eventually the entire bottom sole got off. But remember, we really have to get to where we're going. There is no transport along the way to be able to rescue us. So what we did is that the advanced team of hikers, we told them to go ahead and try and get us some support. And eventually the one person who stopped for us gave us a lift, and this lady was able to get from point A to point B. The reason I've said the one person who eventually stopped is because most people just drove past us. This leg that we were hiking on is in one of the remotest part of the Swiss Alps, and these people had never seen a black person. So they were just looking at us, but not stopping. Anytime we passed through their towns, we could see them just looking at us. So when we tried to stop and ask for assistance, they didn't. And we could have given up. But we didn't give up, and we just kept trying to stop the vehicles as they passed by. And eventually one gentleman stopped, and he asked us what the issue was, and he came back and assisted the lady who was struggling. That's a lesson that I carry with me, that, you may ask for help the very first time and you don't get assistance, but don't give up. Keep asking. Eventually, somebody is going to assist you. So the lessons are many and they are varied. And that's one of the reasons why I keep doing what it is that I do. Because on every experience, there's something for me to learn and take away.